Hi everyone, John from LookSmart Home Inspections here. I have another defects video I want to show you guys. This year, I got to tell you, has been quite a challenge for home inspectors and agents as well. I honestly don't get too much work from the agents, but I know that they are suffering as well. And you know, it's a challenging time for all of us in the real estate business, but I still enjoy what I do. I still like the career. I still like the profession. I like really trying to help my customer understand the house, that they're buying so they can make a good, strong purchase decision. Because sometimes you don't really have anybody on your side. At least that's the way I feel. You have the agent, and then you have the real estate attorney, and then you have the agent on the other side, and you have the seller. And then that's where I come in. I come in there and I'm the one that's your advocate. I'm the one who's working, trying to tell you exactly what's going on in this house. Because let's face it, when you're looking at a house, you're trying to picture yourself in the home, right? You're trying to look at, where you're going to put the material, where this will go, where that'll go. And you're not really looking at the infrastructure of the house, the heating, air conditioning, electric, grading, roof, attic, basement, right? There's a million things that we as home inspectors have to look for. And when you're looking for a house, you don't really do that. I mean, some of you do, but just sort of mostly on the surface. You're not really digging deep. And that's where we come in. And that's why I enjoy this job so much, is that I can go into a home and be your advocate. I can be there for you and tell you exactly what's going on with the house and the systems. So the idea is to not have you surprised later, right? We want to tell you what's going on with the house before there's problems, so you can get ahead of the issues. And sometimes not every real estate transaction goes through, and that's okay. As long as I do my job and protect my customer and be objective and tell them exactly what's going on with the house, I'm okay with that. I can sleep at night knowing that I did my best trying to tell my customer what's going on with the home. It's been a tough market, let's face it. It's difficult for all of us here, but we're grinding through and we're doing the best we can, and we're still working hard for our customers day in and day out. And I appreciate you guys. Thank you for your 22 years of support, longtime customers. I've done 2-3 houses for some people now, and I certainly do appreciate that. So thank you so much. I really am thankful for that. So here I have a video of some recent defects. Some of them you may find interesting. Some of them you may be able to relate to your own home or a house that you're thinking about buying. So let me go through and we'll explain some of these defects. And thank you for watching, and thank you for your support. Brand new house, almost $3 million home. The grade is going to take that water directly to the front exterior of this house. Now you're going to tell me, well, it's not that big of a deal. It's not that much of a grade issue. But look at that slope. That slope is going to direct the water to the front of the home, making this house more vulnerable to water infiltration problems and issues. We want our house high and the grade going away from the house, not our house low and the grade negative, directing water to the front of the home. If you look over here on the left side, the grade here is also flat or neutral. We want that grade sloped away. You think it's not a big deal, but it's actually a very big deal. And this is something very important that you guys can look for when you're purchasing a pre-existing house or a new construction home. Make sure that grade slopes away from the house. I have to say, I really don't like this grading here. We have these basement window wells, and then we have a really high walkway. So this walkway is about 6 inches off the level of the grade. So if we get water pooling in here, water collecting in here, where's it going to go? Even if we slope this soil away, we end up directing that water to the walkway, which can cause cracking and damage. We don't want to have that walkway exposed to any more water than we really need to have. So I don't really like this. Typically we have a house that sits higher, a grade that goes down, that's flush with the walkway. So the water will just kind of go over. Here we have it just, the water is going to collect along this edge and can cause problems later. So I'm a little concerned about this. I don't really like the way this is set up here with this. So we're going to grade away, and then our water is going to end up here. We can't build up too much because we're going to be over the windows. And we have this egress window here. So this has to remain open. A little bit concerned about this area, not really sure how to correct this. Call me crazy, but I really like window well covers. Now you say to yourself, well, these bubble covers that you buy at Home Depot or Lowe's, they don't look good. They crack, they break all the time. Snow loads cracks them. But I like to cover these wells. If we cover these wells, remove our debris, put a couple inches of gravel in here, that's going to really help in drainage. Because I find that these are very vulnerable to water penetration, especially wind-driven rain entering over time. During 2 or 3 days of heavy rain, you're going to get a lot of water through here. So we like to see these bubble covers. And in my mind, that just really prevents water from getting in here. And, you know, we can divert that away, right? So if we regrade our ground away here, right, and maybe install a window well frame that's higher, that acts as more of a retaining wall so we can slope our soil away, we can really do improvements in keeping water out of these vulnerable areas. So if you have window wells, keep them clean, keep them covered, and keep the soil around them sloped away. Here's the front steps that has a lot of damage. It's broken apart. We have water damage, loose bricks, cracking, the whole thing here. So, and you say to yourself, well, this isn't that bad, right? We're going to just move in. We'll wait a while to get this fixed. Here's the thing, though. You have an insurance company to deal with. And that insurance company, especially here in New Jersey, is going to come over and they're going to inspect this. So they're going to have an insurance inspector come over, take pictures of the exterior of this house, the roof, make sure there's no hazards. So when they see this, they're going to likely have a problem. And just because you're okay with this doesn't mean that the insurance company is going to be. So you may bind coverage with the insurance company, and then they'll come out 30 days later, they'll take pictures of the house, whatnot, and then they'll send you a letter and say, hey, Mr. or Mrs. Homeowner, hey, we need a new front set of steps, or you really need to fix these front steps. And you have 30 days, you have 60 days to do it. They do the same thing with roofs all the time. So just because you guys are okay with accepting this, and that's your choice, the insurance company may not be. So just be aware of that. You're not only looking for issues during a home inspection for your safety, livability of the house, habitability, we're also looking for things that could affect insurance coverage. And broken steps in poor condition like this are one of the things that can. So keep on a lookout for stuff like this when you're thinking about buying a home. So these deck guardrails right here don't meet modern requirements for safety for 2 reasons. Number one, they're climbable, so a child can actually climb this like a ladder. I don't know if you can see the wire, but there's wire there being used as guardrails. There's no balusters. Those spaces are more than 4 inches where a child can actually fall through, and also they're climbable, not very substantial. So this is something that we're going to call out, especially if the couple has young children. These don't conform to modern safety requirements. I mean, if there's just going to be adults, okay, I get it. But these are something, as home inspectors, we always want to look for safety items. So anything that's going to affect a person's safety or possibly cause injury are definitely something as home inspectors we're going to call out. And this is something right here. These rails right here don't meet modern requirements. Not the end of the world, but certainly something to bring to note, because maybe our clients you know, they're not looking hard at this stuff and they don't really understand maybe the ramifications of that. They're looking for the inside of the house. They're trying to picture themselves living in the home. They're not really looking for these safety items, I find. So it's up to us as home inspectors to point these out, just so in case they want to make corrections, they can do so. Here's a roof surface or roof covering that is no bueno. We can see right here we have a roof shingle that's falling off right here, and that's going to be a problem not only for the home inspection, possibly water infiltration, of course, but also, like we were talking before, problems with the insurance company. And if we pan over here, we have some more damaged roof shingles right along here, right along this edge where the siding meets the roof. So I want you guys also to look at when we have siding, wood siding like cedar, that touches a roof, water tends to wick into it because it's directly on the roof surface. So water, through capillary action, wicks into the cedar siding, causing damage, cupping, and nothing really good happens. So if you're buying a house with cedar or exterior wood siding, make sure that there is a gap there, about 1 inch, and flashing behind it, just to give a nice offset where the roof covering and the cedar come together. So right there, we want to make sure that that area is properly flashed, and that will have to be addressed also. Now, the cedar siding on this house is really weathered, and we're going to take a look closer, but I'd have to say it's about time on this house. We see some of the cedar siding here that's damaged along this edge right here. It's loose in areas. It's very water damaged. Now, cedar does need regular maintenance and staining to keep that cedar moist. You want to keep a natural oil in that cedar to help protect it from the weather. And if you go years and years without a proper maintenance and sealing, we kind of get what we have here. So we have roof issues here, and then we have cedar siding issues also. So this house is definitely going to need some TLC and a little love for sure. Taking a look at this heating chimney right here, heating flue, and we see at the top we have a rain hatch. So that prevents debris, animals, rainwater, snow from getting in and damaging the terracotta liner that's inside here. So terracotta is basically a clay pipe type liner. But one thing that we look at as home inspectors, and it's often omitted or missing or in poor condition, in this case, not even there should be a chimney crown at the very top. And the crown is different than this rain hat here, which looks like almost like a bird cage looking thing. If we take that down and we look at the top of the chimney, we don't see a crown. And a crown is basically several inches of mortar that has a drip edge that is designed to direct our water from the top of the chimney rather than have the chimney top a flat surface. And often we come to a house and it's not there, it's broken, it's damaged, it's missing, or it's misconfigured. So if you have one that doesn't have the proper drip edge, water is just going to go down the chimney bricks, and it's not going to be directed away in a proper fashion. So this is something we call out often. It's not the end of the world, but it's certainly something that we're going to bring to light for the customer. And it's always something that we report on because you know what? These chimney repairs are really expensive. I just jumped up to the attic space here and we see all this black material on the underside of the roof deck, which is probably a cladosporium mold caused by the lack of bathroom exhaust vents. So all of the bathroom moisture is just coming right up here to the attic space. It's settling, and mold spores are attaching itself to the moisture and then growing. So definitely a mold remediation is going to have to take place in this attic space, and definitely our bathrooms are going to have to be vented out to the exterior of the home, either the sidewall or the roof. A lot of older homes don't have bathroom exhaust vents, but they're highly recommended because moisture is just going to enter the attic space and cause damage, mold, and problems. So this is something that's going to have to be remediated, definitely repaired. Here we have a sump pump that's discharging very close to the exterior foundation wall of the home right here. And we can see that it continually discharging. It rained heavily last night, but what we want to do is extend this pipe further out, maybe 4 or 5 feet, just to help prevent water from collecting close to this exterior foundation wall of the home. This is where we get structural damage, moisture problems, water penetration. So all of our downspouts and discharges such as this, like this sump pump discharge pipe right here, it's got a nice pitch and slope to it, which is great, but it needs to be extended outward 4 or 5 feet away from the exterior foundation wall. Four member built up beam, 1, 2, 3, 4. 3 members of the beam enter the beam pocket. Beam pocket's too small, not designed properly. So, let's just cut the beam. Let's just cut that member and leave it hanging out there like that and not support it at all. Now, I don't think this is really causing major structural problems. But, it's obviously a structural issue, so something we're going to bring to light. And I'm not an engineer, but we're going to recommend a column be installed right here just to better support this beam. And I don't even think the column is necessary, but just to be super safe, we're going to recommend a column. And you can see that beam member doesn't enter the beam pocket correctly. It's been improperly cut and made to fit. We do not want to have all this ivy growing on the exterior of this chimney right here. So this is our heating chimney. It vents the boiler and the water heater. But all this ivy it can really cause damage to the bricks. Plus, I can't see anything. So as a home inspector, I have to tell these clients that I can't see this chimney or identify any problems with its condition because it's covered with ivy here. So my recommendation is to remove the ivy, then properly inspect the chimney. I mean, look, most sellers are not going to allow you to do that, but that's really the way to do it because I have no idea what's going on under all this ivy. And that ivy over time can really cause damage to the bricks underlying there. Here we have a kitchen exhaust vent improperly discharging above a suspended ceiling in a basement. So this should be going to the outside just to properly vent our steam and moisture. Shouldn't just be discharging above the basement suspended ceiling. That's improper and will need correction for sure. I just got up on this roof, and as home inspectors, we do try to get up on roofs if it's safe and if it's possible. Not every time can we get up on a roof, but I always like to because you can certainly see things from the rooftop that we can't see down from the grade level or even at the edge of the roof. So we can definitely see some wear on this older roof here. This black material here is basically an algae, and we have some lichen, which is a moss growth right here. Now, those two things are not really that problematic unless the whole roof is really covered with that. So if we take you over here, we can see that this roof is beginning to, or is getting really brittle. So it just falls apart in my hands. And one of the things I like to do when I look at a roof is to feel the roofing material, because that really gives me an idea of how old the roof is. So this roof here, you can see it just kind of falling apart here. So this roof is well past its life expectancy of 20 to 25 years. So we're going to recommend to our client who's waiting for me down at the grade level that he is going to need a new roof relatively soon. We're going to take a good look at the attic to see if there's any kind of water penetration there as well. But just looking at this roof right here, it's basically time, and we'll definitely report that to the client. Roofing is very, very important, and it's an important aspect that we as home inspectors take very seriously during our home inspections, because roofing now, very, very expensive. So definitely time for a new roof on this house. One of the things that we look at as home inspectors on the exterior of homes is a proper grounding electrode, or what you guys would probably call a ground rod. So when I come across a ground rod like this, I like to give it a little bit of a tug like this. And so this rod should be 8 feet deep, penetrated in the soil. So if I can easily move it back and forth like that, you know, maybe it's 3 feet in the ground. So this is something that I'm going to alert the client to. Also, we can see that this ground rod right here is a hollow tube. Ground rod should be a solid steel material all the way through. So this doesn't meet modern requirements for a proper grounding electrode. And I also don't like this discharge here saturating this area around this ground rod where it can rot it out. So I'm going to definitely have the client reroute this sump pump discharge away from this ground rod and the foundation wall right here. Taking a look at this panel box here, and we see some rust and corrosion on this neutral terminal right here. And if we look down here in the panel box, we see some more rust and some rusting of the circuit breaker, slight rusting of the circuit breaker here, rusting of the circuit breaker here, here, and here. And there's our corrosion here. So what's happening is water is entering the panel box, most likely from the outside connection where the main service drop enters the meter pan. I'm going to go out now and take a look at that. It looked okay at first glance, but I'm going to take a closer look at it knowing that we have this issue here. So this is something that should be evaluated by an electrical contractor. And any corrections should be made because we don't want to have moisture in the panel box. Obviously, that's a safety hazard. And most times, these panel boxes will have to be actually replaced because moisture's gotten into them, because we can't see behind these breakers to determine if there is actually moisture damage behind these breakers on the bus bars. So this is actually a must-do. Same house, and here we have a bathroom exhaust vent right here, just venting above a suspended ceiling in the basement. And this is improper because our steam and moisture is just going to head upstairs. Moisture is going to travel upwards and can actually end up in our attic, believe it or not. So this is a must fix. Bathroom exhaust vent discharging above a suspended ceiling in the basement of this home right here. Basement wall, water stains, efflorescence, and probably mold growth all combined here. Wet wall right here. Sump pump that discharges every 5 seconds. So we have a high water table, and it's imperative that we back up this sump pump either with a water flow backup, a battery backup, or a generator, just so this basement does not flood when power goes off, when power fails. It's really important to keep the sump pump operational, especially in a wet basement like this. Truly important. You can hear all that water just entering that sump pump. It's like a stream of water just entering the pump pit.